And hello again, everyone. Welcome into this week's edition of Panther Pride here on TV 24. I'm Mickey Shadricks, joined by Wellborn head coach Jeff Smith as we talk Panther football. You know, we're already halfway through the high school football season. Last week marked a non-region week, and the Wellborn Panthers went on the road and took on a tough 5A Region 6 opponent in the Moody Blue Devils. Wellborn loses the game by a final score of 42-38. This was a wild game, as you'll see in the highlights coming up in a moment. Wellborn falls behind early in this game, fights back, actually takes the lead late. Looked like, Coach, you were going to win the game. They come back and get a late score. So one of those topsy-turvy roller coaster type games, wasn't it?
It was just a tough game. You know, I thought we went over there and scored first. They scored, and then we scored again, had a lead, and then we just kind of went flat and fell behind 35-13, and then battled our way back, got ahead, 38-35, and then they scored, and we got the ball back with a minute 10 left on the clock, and the final score ended up being 42-38.
Again, this is a non-region opponent. You could schedule just about anybody here you would want to, if you could get anybody to play you.
Right.
But you go up in classification, and we were talking before we started taping the show. You know, that presents its own challenges, because when you play a team, especially a 5A team like this, with a lot more depth, a lot more players, it really is a big challenge for your football team. Talk about that, why you choose to go in that direction.
Well, when you go up on classifications like they are in 5A football, they're doing platoon football, which is not just platooned as far as their starters go when they get out there and play on Friday night. They're platooned in practice, so they're practicing offense and defense at the same time, where we're having to focus on offense, one day and defense one day, so they're getting twice as much work. But the big thing with us going into this game is I feel like that we didn't have the punch that we had the last few weeks at the start of the game. We scored early, but then we had a few kids get banged up, and then we kind of went dead and let them get ahead. And, we credit them now. They took advantage of those situations and got ahead of us. And then we regrouped at halftime and came out there and played a great second half and actually took the lead back. But, there again, we had one play right there at the end of the game right there that, got us, and, they ended up winning the game. And, and actually the game was 42-38, and their conversions what actually helped win the game, and our missed conversions is what cost us the points. We both scored the same amount of touchdowns. But now credit them, Coach Brown and his staff. They were ready to play, and they were at home, and they had lost 2 straight, and they were not going to lose 3 straight. And they played very well, played very hard, and didn't want to lose the game themselves.
And you mentioned Coach Brown. We talked about him last week.
Yep.
A lot of people around here may recognize the name Jay Brown. He played at Oxford High School, also was a coach for Bill Burgess at JSU. You knew him there, and obviously does a great job with his football team. We're going to take a break and come back. We'll have all the highlights of Wellborn and Moody. First half highlights coming up next right here on Panther Pride. And welcome back to Panther Pride. Highlight segment time. First half, Wellborn coming on the field, taking on the Moody Blue Devils. Coach, you got the ball to start the game here.
Well, we started off the game, the first 5 minutes of the game, and played well. We hit a waggle pass right there to DJ, and he makes a nice run. And then here we come up here with a double handoff, and Montgomery carries it in. It really looks good there. And we're up 7-0. But now they came back with their offense, and and again we're missing a lot of tackles, if you saw that right there. And they take their drive and they make it 7-7, and hitting some stuff right here. That's a screen pass that they hit. There's 3 missed tackles right there on that play. We just didn't tackle like we're capable of tackling. Again, a couple missed tackles, and they get into the secondary, and we just usually played better than that right there. That play right there, we get a player that gets injured. So we come back at 7-7, And then, of course, they're playing good right here, and then we run this play right here and basically throw a halfback pass and get the ball down the field, and anyway get ahead 13 to get ahead 13-7. This time they've gotten the lead again, and they have a mishap right here and fumble the snap on a punt. We get it, but we were not able to capitalize on that right there, and they ended up catching the lead ahead. They went ahead like 14-13 at this time. Our highlights are a little off right here. This was the drive right there with the halfback pass where we went ahead 13-7. And so here we go. We kick off. We kick off here, and number 18 has a good little return right here. Gets the ball up here to the 40-yard line. That's Javion Thomas making a good tackle. He's a sophomore. Jordan Montgomery had an outstanding football game right there. Comes up with a big lick. Here they have a little he catches on a reverse, and we bit inside and didn't stay at home like we were supposed to right there, and he scored. And then now they kick their extra point and take the lead. Or they went for two. No, they scored here right here. Yes, he didn't get in the end zone. They scored here, and they kicked their extra point and take the lead 14-13. And then here, then we don't score on our drive. I think the drive before that was the only time that we punted the whole game. And then they get the ball and they have a nice series here and hit a pass here for a touchdown. And now they kick their extra point. Now they're up 21-13.
Late first half here, kicking off.
Yeah, and we kick off here, and usually we do a very good job on our kickoff return right here, and we just bounces off our return man right there, and they get the ball, and they're down there in our territory on, I think, the 20-yard line, and then they come back here and get the ball in the end zone on us, and now the score is 28-13. They onside kick it. Again, we're usually very good at that right there, and we wasn't. And they get the ball back. Now, we stiffened up right here, and we didn't let them in the end zone on this series here. Had a nice interception out of Jordan Montgomery. And we go in at halftime 28-13.
And that is our halftime score. Moody leading Welborn 28-13. And Coach, they really finished strong there at the end of the first half, which is, as a coach, that's what you're wanting to do, is take that momentum into the locker room. So I know you're disappointed, upset at this point. What was the message at halftime?
Well, get back to playing our type of football. For us, we're a team we got to be disciplined, and we've got to go full speed. And that's what we stress in practice, and we have to stress that in the games too. And I don't think that we were. And when I say discipline, not letting them kick off, not recovering the onside kick, fumbling on the kickoff return. That's part of discipline too. And I think we made some mistakes that we normally didn't make. I don't think we were tackling like we should have been tackling. And a lot of tackling's effort. A lot of times if you want to make the tackle, you're going to make the tackle. So. We had those missed tackles and we had those turnovers right there, and then they got ahead of us. Now, we went in at halftime, and basically we challenged our kids. We made some adjustments right there. They did score to start the second half off, but after that, then we tightened it up and really played well after that. But then the damage is done. We're having to come back from a big deficit.
All right, we'll be back with second half highlights in just a moment, but as we go to break, let's listen in to the Welborn High School Marching Band from their performance on Friday night at Moody High School. And let's roll now with second half highlights. Coach, you mentioned in the last segment they get off to a good start, but you play much better in the second half.
We do. You know, we kicked off and they came back and they scored again and made it 35-13. And again, we're missing tackles. You know, but you could feel that we are playing better. We played with a little bit more urgency. They did go ahead and get a score on this drive right here. And you know, but you could feel the attitude of the kids was better. The effort seemed a lot better, and even after this drive right here, when they score right there, we played just so much better in the second half. I really commend the kids on their effort as far as going out there second half. Look, it's 35-13, and 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. There's a lot of teams that would just hung their head and been done. Now, Quindarius right here, you know, was one of the ones that turned the ball over. That last kickoff return, he has a nice kickoff return this time. Again, like I said, we usually do a good job on kickoff return, and he gets us a nice run. He gets into their territory. We come back out here, and look at Jordan Montgomery run. I mean, he came out there, and just the wheel he had on that one run right there, you could just feel it. And you know, we came right here and made it 35-19.
Great answer there.
Yeah, miss a conversion. Stop them. DJ has a nice run right here. Gets the ball deep in their territory again. I think we're on like their 25-yard line after that run. We come back again. Right here comes Montgomery. Look at that. Just determination right there. Just ran over the first guy and got those extra yards. Came here. Watch this catch. Makes a nice catch here on a post right there, and we get in the end zone. And now we came up there and we closed it up to 35-25.
Fourth quarter now.
Fourth quarter, you know, and we feel like we're a fourth-quarter team. And DJ makes a good run here, good solid run here. And again, watch this pass right here. And Montgomery jumps up between two people again and makes a nice catch right here. And of course, he's very exhausted because he never comes off the field. He plays everything we got, all the special teams, you know, and offense and defense. Again, a good run. Here we come here. Again, a nice pass right there, and Spencer Screws catches it right there, and now we're back in it. You know, we came back, and it's 35-32, 5 minutes to go in the game. We have a big defensive stop here. Look at that. Look how much better we look playing defense than we were earlier in the game. Same thing right here. Look at that, knocking the ball loose. You know, there we go. We get the ball. We got it deep in their territory. We come back here. You know, good misdirection play, and we get the ball down there to about their 10-yard line. Again, look at DJ's determination. He runs it down to the 1-yard line, and we sneak it in right here. And now we're up. It's 38-35, and we came back from a 35-13. 2 minutes 15 seconds left. They get the ball. They ran the same play 4 straight times, and then the receiver gets by our defensive back right there, and he scores.
And that proved to be the game-winning score for the Moody Blue Devils as they stave off an incredible comeback, a furious comeback by the Wellborn Panthers in the second half to win the game by a final score of 42-38. Coach, let's go ahead and move now into our individual player awards. Always a good opportunity each week to talk about some of the young men who played well for you in this game, and
Absolutely.
we'll notice one guy in particular seems to be on just about every award category. Let's go ahead and take a look at those.
Well, our scrambler this week was Dalton Epps. Dalton plays our weak guard for us right there and had a nice game. Our pancake block was Jalen Booker and Jamarian Curry. They had a nice block, really the second play of the game. Our racehorse was Jordan Montgomery, and our meanest Panther was Jordan Montgomery. The racehorses are our best back performance, and the meanest Panthers our best defensive back and outside linebacker performance. Hardest hit, yeah, we saw it on there where Jordan came up and had a good hit, and then he also led us in tackles and was our special teams award winner too. He ended up being the offensive player of the week and the defensive player of the week.
Wow, what a performance for Jordan Montgomery.
All 5 awards right there.
Amazing.
With his name on it, so.
And, you know, you make the point, and he's not the only player you have in this situation. No. You have others who never come off the field. And, you know, the early part of the season when the weather's warm, which it still kind of is right now, Talk about the conditioning element, about how these young men are able to stay on the field and perform at a high level for 4 quarters.
Well, I mean, we practice them hard and we run them hard, you know, and you know, it pays off as far as the 4 quarter goes. You know, the game, the conditioning, and how we played in the second half, you know, that was very commendable of our team. Mm-hmm. Our problem was, you know, we started the game off pretty good and then we relaxed. Mm-hmm. And, you know, against a good team, you know, and especially a team with more players and in a higher classification, you cannot do that. You got to play hard for all 4 quarters, and you know, and we just didn't. And you know, but now we're going to fix that. We're going to go in there Monday and we're going to watch this film and review. You know, start looking at our opponent, and we're going to go out there and we're going to have a good week of practice, and we're going to focus on Westbrook Christian.
All right, got a very special guest coming up for you next on Panther Pride. We'll be joined by Wellborn Principal Chris Hayes as we continue. Stay with us. And we're back on Panther Pride, joined now by very special guest, Wellborn Principal Chris Hayes. And Mr. Hayes, thanks for joining us this week on the show. And obviously you're right there following the Panthers each and every week. And talk about what you see so far from this football team.
Well, I tell you what, we're young, we've got a lot of guts, a lot of pride. And I tell you what, this group of guys, they stick together. I mean, and that's great to see. Because it makes up, you know, for a lot. You know, if you're struggling in places, when you gel as a team, guess what? You're gonna do it every single week. So look, and I tell you, there's a lot to be said about being a Panther too. Every one of those guys get out there, and I'm telling you, 150 plus workouts during the course of the year just to get to the football season, and they stick through it over the summer. Well, I mean, they start about a week after the season's over, and they go all the way through the summer and get started with a new year and a new football season. And it takes a lot of guts and a lot of work just to be a Panther. So a lot to be said about those guys on that field.
You know, a lot of people ask me, covering high school football in this area for so long, how do certain teams, how are they just good every year? You know, it seems like they're always good, and tradition is such a big part of that. And you know it as well as anybody because this is your 3rd year as principal at Wellborn, but you played at Wellborn, you have family members who played at Wellborn. You know what that tradition is about, and football is important at Wellborn.
Yes, sir.
That is something that carries you each and every year, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it sure does. Sure does.
Talk about being a part of that as a player and now as a principal.
Well, I thank God that I'm where I am. You know, you don't get into this job just to do it. I mean, it's truly a calling. It's a service, and I am honored to serve at Walter Wellborn High School.
Talk about your football coach, Jeff Smith. He has come back to Wellborn, and what the job he's done there is as good a job as any coach has done at their particular school in the state of Alabama. He's got that program, even though it's a much smaller community in terms of the number of players that are able, the pool of players that can participate in football now. But the Wellborn football tradition is so rich, and it's back now. And personally, to me, Jeff Smith is the reason for that. Talk about what you think of your football coach.
I agree with that 110%. And I tell you what, I have the unique privilege, and let me say this for starters. I'm honored to work with Coach. Honored. I mean, I remember coming up, I was a junior high player. I remember seeing Coach. He was bigger than life. I think at the time he was doing a student teach, playing at Jacksonville State. He'd come up and run stadiums, run hills, you know, just for extra work, and come out and help coach battles. And anyway, it's a great honor to work for him. But I have the unique privilege of seeing what goes on behind the scenes and how much work and dedication and that Coach puts into it. It's 7 days a week, and it's 24/7 for him, and that's year round. That's not just football season. That's all year round. You know, we get an opportunity to talk a little bit during the Christmas holidays, because that's really our true downtime, his true downtime. And you know, it's great just to rehash the season and talk about next season. But I'm telling you, the guy never stops. I've never known anybody that can work like he does, and you know, just puts everything he's got into it. You know, we talk a lot of times that you know, our wives, they're like, you know, single moms a lot of the time, and we're very thankful for them and the job they do. You know, on top of that, and it help, you know, being there, you know, behind us. And I know Miss Smith, you know, she's all about Welborn, and I tell you what, every Friday night she's right there to greet him when he comes off the field. And just look, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to be working at Walter Welborn. I'm thankful to be working with Coach Smith. Learned a lot from him these past 3 years. So.
All right, Chris Hayes, principal at Welborn, thanks so much for joining us. Safe to say you're in your dream job.
Yes, sir.
All
Sure
right.
am.
We come back, we'll be rejoined by Welborn head coach Jeff Smith. We'll look ahead to this week's matchup. Stay with us. Panther Pride continues in a moment. All right, we're back on Panther Pride. Here's the next challenge for the Welborn Panthers, back to 3A Region 6 play. Also back at home, though. That'll be the good thing as Westbrook Christian comes into the Hill to take on the Panthers in a huge region matchup. You know, Randolph County shut out Westbrook last week, Coach, but there's a couple of games this year that Westbrook has put over 40 points on the scoreboard. So I know you've got your hands full with this team this week.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, if we could get anything from the game we just had with Moody, hopefully it's got us ready to play a team like Westbrook, because they're going to be similar. You know, if Moody likes to throw the ball around, Westbrook's always like to throw the ball around. I've known Coach Osborne since I've been a head coach. You know, he's been at Westbrook Christian, and I was out at Ohatchee, and we had some great games with him out there, and we came back to Welborn, and he's still been at Westbrook. I think he's been out there for 20-plus years, and his teams are always going to play good. And especially offensively. I mean, they're always high-power offense. I don't know if we remember back, you know, but before all the spring jam stuff got started, you know, Welborn and Westbrook, we played at Jackson. We was kind of the pilot to get all that going.
That's right.
And, you know, so it's going to be a challenge. You know, so hopefully the Moody game has got us ready to play it.
And obviously back to region play,
Right.
Second half of the season. Every week, it's a grind. So important, isn't it, to play to get these region games when you can.
Well, these next 4 weeks, you know, we're going to find out really who wants it, because you know, we've got 4 region opponents here, and how we do it these next 4 weeks are going to determine, 1, if we do go to the playoffs, and 2, where we're going to go in the playoffs. Are we going to be at home, or we're going to be on the road? What's it all going to play out? So these next 4 weeks is go time, and we got to get it in gear.
And after a couple of games on the road, I know you're glad to be back home from the home crowd.
We've had a three game stretch on the road, and you know, the good part about that is you don't have to get all your fielding stuff ready for your opponent coming in right there. But the bad part about it, you're on the road, you know, you're always uncomfortable because you don't have your stuff in your place, and you know, your familiar surroundings. I'm trying to get this out this morning. But so I mean, it's going to be good to be back at home, and you know, it's going to be homecoming. It's going to be exciting. We'll have our crowd, you know, and our crowd just gets behind the team so well and everything. It's just like a big heartbeat going. So I'm just looking forward to it.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot for joining us this week. Thanks to you for watching as well. We'll be back with you again next week for highlights of Welborn and Westbrook Christian right here on Panther Pride.